beautiful day, isn't it? It's Monday, yeah, 27th of February. One more day to go, the end of the month. Okay, today it's I was reflecting on me arriving here in the Philippines in 2018. When I arrived, there was a lot of articles and a lot of discussion and a lot of uproar regarding a thing called jeepney modernisation. The famous jeepneys, which ply the trade on the roads here in the Philippines. Now, today and yesterday I was reading some articles again, and from 2018 we're in 2023, and as of July the 1st this year, they estimate that 50,000 jeepneys, or jeepney operators and drivers, will have to give up their routes, their PUVs or PUJs, because they don't conform to the current legislation on Euro 4 engines, emissions, safety, and there's a lot of uproar coming out now again from groups like Piston in Manila and in Cebu, and I was just thinking about it and thinking, well, they've had since 2018 to put together a package of what they could do. So I started nosing around like I do, and come up with some information about it, really. So when it was first announced in 2018 about this modernisation of the jeepney, or the Jeepney Modernisation Act, and it was going to be going into effect, it gave everybody the chance to move forward with either developing their jeepneys. Now, it only affects jeepneys that are 15 years and older. Under 15 years, so that meant that the drivers could actually buy newer jeepneys, or they could buy newer vehicles to turn around and still do their jobs, still get an income. But there were companies like Photon and Isuzu and Toyota, and they've actually released what they call the modern jeepney, which looks like a small little minivan, and it costs about 1.6 million peso to 1.8 million peso, and yeah, that is a lot of money for the jeepney drivers to turn around and cough up, but it is their livelihood, isn't it, really? And the benefit of it is it's supposed to improve emissions, it's supposed to improve the environment, it's supposed to improve the safety, it's supposed to improve lots of things for the people that use the jeepneys, because the jeepneys have been around for years and years and years. Yeah, they are the Philippines. Yeah, they're colourful, they're robust, they're put together as a hodgepodge of Second World War surplus jeeps that have just been extended into 28-seater, 30-seater, 48-seater truck-like vehicles. But they've not modernised the engines, they've not modernised the brakes, they've not updated the safety of them. The driving, and I've done lots of vlogs, the jeepney drivers, you know, they're driving around in these things that are made out of girder iron and steel and sharp objects, just weave in and out of traffic, and they come really, really close. I've had a couple of times where I've been really, really close to being knocked off by a jeepney, whereas the new buses, and I've got some pictures of old and new, and I'll attach them to this video. So today it's about, there are pros and there are cons, there are advantages and there are disadvantages, but I'm not going to go down that route, because everybody has their opinion, don't they? Everybody has, the driver wants to turn around and keep where they are, they don't want to move forward, but you do have to move forward sometimes in life. It's like the cabling that happens in CTM Recto and down at San Pedro in Davao City. They've put all the electrical cable underground and it looks absolutely amazing. It cost a fortune, it was very, very disruptive, and people have got to pay for it. However, they're still discussing it in Cebu, and they're still discussing it in Manila, what they're going to be doing. How many years are they going to discuss it? Yeah, they're going to discuss it for a long, long time, aren't they? Because nobody likes change. Nobody likes change, including me. Including me. I don't like change. I like to get set in my ways and get my life going on, but things have to move on, and to take the Philippines into the next century, you've got to have a transport system that delivers to the people. It's got to be safe, it's got to be environmentally friendly, you shouldn't be polluting. There are lots of countries out there that are polluting, and they're putting carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and people breathe that in. So you end up with TB and all the medical issues that you turn around and get with that. So I'm not going to get drawn on whether I think it's right or whether I think it's wrong. You know, fares might go up, fuel prices might come down. The new jeepneys, I don't know what their fuel economy is. They might get more miles to the litre or kilometres to the litre than the old jeepneys. But at least they'll turn around and be able to be governed by the LTO, because it won't be a handed down vehicle that has been pulled together, it's been manipulated together. It's a jigsaw, as in years and years and years and years and years, you know, of pulling together different laws and bylaws and LG laws and, you know, government laws and different presidents and different LTO presidents and different LTO governors, and all of these different people have all turned around and tried to appease the jeepney because it's sacrilege. But there does come a time when you have to change, and I feel sorry for the 50,000 drivers that will not qualify, that not registered. There's about 150 to 200,000 jeepneys in the Philippines, and they estimate that 50,000, so that's 156 to 166,000 jeepney drivers will continue to ply their trade, because they've modernised, they've developed, they've taken since 2018 to 2023 that time to invest in improving their vehicles, or buy modern vehicles, or exchange their Suzukis or their Jeeps that have been built together and gobbledygook together and being put together as an eclectic mix of different fabrications to make their jeepney. I think people have a right to have safe travel. Whether I don't think it's ever going to look the same as a jeepney. It's not nostalgically, it's not going to turn around and be there. It's not going to be that lovely Jeep with the stainless steel and all of that eclectic stuff that people have made it their own. You know, they've pimped their ride, they've pimped their Jeep, they've pimped their Suzuki multi-cab. You know, they've done this stuff to make it their own, so people can turn around and flag them down. But it's, for the jeepney, I think it's coming to an end. It needs to roll forward. It needs to modernise. You know, I'm looking at cars when I was in the 70s, in the 60s. Those cars wouldn't even pass legislation today. Their engines weren't right. They weren't eco-friendly. They were death traps. The brakes didn't work. They were made. You could put them out in the rain in the UK, and it would rain, and your car would be rusting in a couple of weeks, and within a year it'd be falling to pieces. There's a brand out in Italy called Lancia. There's a Lancia Beta, and people didn't buy that car because the metalwork on the outside, the body infrastructure of the vehicle was so thin that within 12 months it would rot away, and you just turn around and spent a fortune on that car. So I think the modern Jeepney looks pretty cool. It looks quite nice. It's not back entry, because then side entry, so you can get into the Jeep and you can pull out, walk to the back, walk to the side. So it's like a little modern multi-cab type bus type thing. 23 seats, comfortable seating. You don't get wet. You don't have these little sheets that are going to come down the side. You can't travel on the top of it, and you definitely can't overload it by putting canvas or tarps over the top of it, filled up with meringue and coconut and durian fruit. You can't do that. You can't fill inside with your carabao or your chickens or your pigs, because these are modern vehicles. So the Jeepney is, I feel in a year's time we'll be looking at this, and it will have been destined that there will be some Jeepneys left, but they will gradually phase out unless you move on with legislation in the real world. It's sad to see, but like me, I'm no longer 20. Yeah, and one day my engine will need to turn around and pop into the hospital to have it get the stents put in and get rid of the hardening of the artery. Yeah. That is life, really. That's the evolution of mankind. That's the evolution of the country. People don't want to make that change, and that's the hard bit, because it affects livelihoods. And you can protest as much as you like, and I've seen those protests happening at the moment in Manila and in Cebu, and people are going back to the government and say, can we delay it, can we delay it, can we delay it? They're great, they're nice, but I think they've had their day, and they need to evolve, and maybe somebody should be making Jeepneys that look like Jeepneys, that they're not looking like a bus. They're shorter than a bus or lower than a bus, they're longer than a bus, but the ones I'm actually seeing, you'll see the pictures, they look very egg-like. Front, back, sides, they've got AC, metal and plastic on the inside so they can be hosed down and washed down. But I think, and I've said it, there is a time, and July will be that time, and it's coming to the end of February. But March, April, May, June, July, got four more months. Yeah, and let's see if the famous Jeepneys of the Philippines start to draw an end to their illustrious career.